Welcome to my review of the Plastic Fantastic 35, officially known as the SMC Pentax-DA 35mm f2.4 AL lens. As the name indicates, this lens has an SMC coating. It is a DA lens swapped to for APS-C. The AL in the name means that they've put elements in there aimed at getting corner sharpness. It's 35mm and it has a maximum aperture of f2.4. It's commonly known as the Plastic Fantastic because it is plastic built and has a plastic lens mount. It's one of the first lenses many Pentaxians will buy when they need something with a wider aperture so they can get better images in low light situations, and that's certainly why I bought it. My kit lens I found was a little bit on the slow side for use at home. The wider aperture of this lens meaning that it gets more light in, and therefore it is easier to shoot at lower ISOs and get a nice clean image, and that's what I used it for, and I was very happy with it. For this lens I've decided to do the image review slightly differently to how I have before, and there's a reason for that. I have used this lens on the KS2, the K3 and the K1. I was very happy with it on the KS2, my first camera. As I mentioned earlier, this is the first lens I bought as a full frame lens, outside of the kit lenses. And after processing, I've had a few lens images that early on in my Pentaxian career I felt really happy with. I mean, this is a picture of the Temple of Minerva down at Sedgwick Park, Hardwick Park even, and as you can see up on, here's the version on Flickr. The resolution is really sharp in the center, which is where the object is. I was very happy with the contrast. I know it's probably not so easy to see on a processed image, but again, here's a picture from Durham City Centre from the early morning. Very happy with the image quality. Yeah, I mean, that was shot at ISO 400. Some boats on the River Wear at Durham, again ISO 400, f5, 50th of a second handheld. Really happy with the resolution of this on the KS2. Yeah, I was really happy with this lens, really happy. Here's the Port of Liverpool building. This is a massive, I was going to say panorama, but it's not really, but it's a multiple shots all grouped together to create this huge image, which is why there's no EXIF data there. Used the 35 for that on the KS2. Again, I was really happy with how the image quality came out. Detail was excellent, contrast was good. There was a little bit of chromatic aberration, if I remember correctly, when I was processing this image, but I was always very happy with it, always very happy with the lens. Here's a few other images taken on the KS2, selected relatively at random, as in there's nobody identifiable in them that I know who wouldn't be happy to be in them. And all I've done in Lightroom is I have gone into the develop module and I've simply hit auto. I've left the data up on here, but obviously within Lightroom we can zoom in a little bit and see some better detail of the resolution. This is f13, and yeah, I mean it's the Plastic Fantastic. It represents really good value on the KS2. I felt it was happy with the quality of the images. When Lightroom catches up, that's ISO 400, so obviously you're going to get a little bit of loss of sharpness because of the digital noise. Again, f8, very happy, f8 again. Another image that I was always very pleased with is the Love Locks and Liverpool Docks. I've processed it differently if you've seen it before though. Again, this is taken in a really dark environment, this one. Remember there's quite a lot of chromatic aberration in this image. There's some purple fringe in there. But I think that was about as bad as I ever remember it being on this lens. I say that ever remember as if like I haven't got the lens anymore, sitting on a shelf behind me. This was the Temple of Minerva shot before it was processed. ISO 100, but f8. Right, so I'm very happy with the lens on the KS2. Then I put it on my K3 when I got it, and then I really wasn't happy. And some people disagree with me on this, but I really don't think that this lens resolved very well on the pixel dense K3. These are random samples, so I'm probably going to zoom in at them and think actually they're alright, but I don't know. It was just something about the lens on the K3 with its high pixel density that I just didn't feel was right. Always felt like the image wasn't quite as clean as I wanted it to be, even at relatively low ISOs. The purple fringing seemed to be worse on the K3 as well. I mean, this is obviously an unprocessed image. You can see there's a lot of purple fringing there on the Pentax logo on the lens cap. A little bit of lens flare there as well, which I'd never really noticed happening too much on the KS2, which I've used it a lot more on the KS2 as well. Now you can buy a lens hood that'll fit this lens, but it doesn't come as standard. And I don't know about you, but I always tend to think if it doesn't come as standard, then it isn't really part of the design. It's an afterthought. So yeah, I was never really happy with it on the K3. Now I've used it on the K1 as well. Initially I used it because helping somebody with some software mapping, lens profiles and things. So I used it on the K1. This is at f10. And honestly, I think the wider pixel density of the K1, although it's a bigger sensor, the pixels have more room. If you crop it on APS-C, I think it's closer to 15 megapixels, whereas the K3 is 24. I actually think it holds better on the K1 than it does on the K3. If it wasn't for the fact that you start to get vignette as you go close to wide open. And this is a shot that I took on it for, I can't remember what the reason was, to be honest, but it looks okay really, doesn't it? It's not too bad on the K1. ISO 200, there was some artificial light used, I think. Corner sharpness isn't really there, but to be frank, it's a APS-C lens being used on a full frame camera, so it would be absolutely mind blowing if it was there. And I think for a budget lens, if you needed something for your K1, this was actually perfectly good. I don't really use it anymore because I have the Sigma 35 Art. I know it's massive, don't really care about that sort of thing. So this lens is just sitting on a shelf really. I may look to sell it, I may not. I'm not very good at selling things. I have a tendency to be a hoarder and not want to let them go. But yeah, so for me, I don't know what you think about having reviewed the images, but for me, it's a great lens on the KS2 with its 20 megapixel sensor. It's probably an excellent lens on the K5, etc. On the K3, it just fell apart for me. It's okay on the K1 if you can live with the vignetting. Obviously, it's not weather sealed, so it's not the ideal outdoor lens. But anyway, I'd like to know what you think if you've got this lens. I'm sure as a Pentaxian you probably have, because it's one of the Plastic Fantastics, and it's basically what everybody buys after they've wanted something more than their kit lens. So I'd be interested to know what you've got to say about it.